Everything started with the Ukrainian Revolution. Before the revolution, Ukraine had been mirrored by years of corruption, mismanagement, lack of economic growth, currency devaluation, and an inability to secure funding from public markets. Because of this, Ukrainian President Yanukovych sought to establish closer relations with the European Union and Russia in order to attract the capital necessary to maintain Ukraine's standard of living without affecting local population significantly. An agreement with the European Union which would provide Ukraine with money for reforms that would break its economic ties with Russia. Yanukovych refused to sign the agreement because he thought it would create an unavoidable tension with Russia that would eventually lead to a conflict. Because of this refusal, the public threw a revolution, and Yanukovych fled the country, and the new president of Ukraine signed reforms that would break the ties with Russia. Russia refused to recognize the new interim government, calling it a government from a coup d'état. In late February, Russia invaded the Crimean Peninsula. Experts identified the troops moving into Crimea to be Russian special forces and other paramilitaries. Russia claimed it was an only defense force from the new government. Later, Putin admitted the Russian troops were there so he could take over the Crimean Peninsula. Russia directly accused the US and EU to facilitating and funding the Ukrainian Revolution. Ukraine has mobilized its armed forces and reserves to try to stop the Russians, but Russia claimed its troops would stay until the political conference was normalized. Although many Ukrainians did not want the Crimean Peninsula to fall to Russia, the majority of citizens in the Crimean Peninsula were of Russian descent and welcomed the Russian soldiers like an old friend. Internationally, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Canada, Japan, the Netherlands, South Korea, Georgia, Moldova, Turkey, Australia, and the European Union as a whole condemned Russia, accusing it of breaking international law and violating Ukrainian sovereignty. Many of these countries implemented sanctions against Russia or Russian individuals or companies, with some retort from Russia. In mid-April, the US accused Russia of responsibility for the unrest in eastern Ukraine, which Russia denied. Ukraine and Russia called for a disarm, but when each of them failed, they both ridiculed each other later for it. Although Crimea is technically part of the Ukraine, it has its own constitution. According to the 2001 census, 58% of the 2 million residents are ethnic Russians. Putin claims that he intends to protect the Russian citizens there from the separatists in the Ukraine. From this map shown here, you can see Crimea's strategic importance as well as ethnic. Crimea also has several natural gas fields, both onshore and offshore, all connected by Ukraine's pipeline system. On February 24th, Russian soldiers arrived on the Crimean Peninsula. On March 2nd, Ukrainian military bases were under control from Russian soldiers. Hopefully, the Ukraine and Russia will come to a resolution to prevent US and European Union involvement.